Okay, so is it genocide going on right now? Well, that's the word. People are arguing about it. Let's look at it. There's a couple of main points. Number one, a couple of thought experiments. Now, thought experiments are just to do with logic, not necessarily the reality of things, but it does provide logic. And so the first one I think of is, well, if there were, if someone's walking around Gaza and uh, and they're Muslim, Gazan, Palestinian, or Arabic, so what's the chances of them getting killed during this situation when it's reported that tens of thousands of people have been killed? Massive demolition has happened, it seems like. And now some people are actually possibly starving to death, right? Quite possibly. And some of the bodies under all that rubble will not have been accounted for, so it's pretty hard to tell. Could be a lot more than is being reported. But it's more than anybody should accept. That's all I'll say from my side. But is it genocide? Well, if there was someone who's Arabic, Muslim, walking around, or Palestinian, walking around in Gaza, what's the chances of them getting killed by the Israeli forces, the IDF, right? Even if you're a reporter, many reporters got killed. So, so if you're Arabic, let's say, I'll just use that general term, Muslim, Arabic, walking around, and they know you're Arabic, what's the chances of you getting killed? So think about that, right? So, and what's the chances of if someone was Israeli, actual Israeli, walking around, and they knew you were an Israeli, what's the chances of them getting killed if they knew, right? Deliberately killed, right? So I think it's fair to say that any Palestinian, Gazan, Muslim, or Arab is much more likely to be killed than any Israeli or Jew who they know is an Israeli or a Jew. So that's not genocide, because genocide has to do with genes. So this whole debate over genocide is absurd because genes mean the whole human race. We all come from an original source of some sort in pre-hominids. So if you want to call yourself an ape or a monkey, then you can go all the way back there, and that's the genealogy. We're all from that. So now you're going to say, okay, well, let's just count the last few thousand years, right? 5, 6,000 years, whatever it is. And let's say, well, we'll only count that bit. So which tribe are you from, right? And so that's what it has to do with. Which tribe are you from? And it's all mixed up. They're all mixed up anyway. But if you talk about it in terms of a type, because let's go back to Rwanda. Rwanda genocide, 1990s. It's called the Rwandan genocide. Apparently, they were targeting a tribal group, right? Which has, it's like a sect or a section or a tribal group, large scale. And people call that genocide, but they're not really that much they're not different from the other tribal groups around, right? They're the same people. But that's called genocide. That's number one. In this case, Jews, Israelis, and Muslims and Arabs and Christians in Israel are very much mixed up genealogically. So if you use the term at all, genocide, you're using it as a sort of general term for mass murder, right? And so the idea that you should cancel the word genocide altogether, fair enough. Maybe we should just cancel the word genocide. I kind of agree, because it's causing all this debate. Like, you can't use it anymore. This video might get deleted from YouTube for this very reason. You're not supposed to talk about genocide regarding Israel anymore. And it's supposedly offensive because of Nazi Germany, where they targeted Jews specifically. So like I say, if you're in Gaza, you're more likely to get killed by the IDF in a deliberate situation, much more likely if you're Arabic, right? And so you can call that genocide. If you're going to call the other one genocide, the Rwandan situation or Nazi Germany, you can call that genocide. Because if the IDF are lined up and they're maybe listening to orders on their radios, so if they're lined up and ready to shoot somebody, a couple of people, and someone says in their ear, no, those are Israelis, leave them alone. Oh, okay, that's it. It's over. But if the situation is, we're lined up to shoot these people you told us to shoot, they listen to some commander. Yeah, we're not sure if those are Israelis or Gazans. Hold off a second. Wait, we're not sure. Yeah, okay, they're Gazans. Yeah, just shoot them, right? Because they're Gazans. But if they were Israeli, they wouldn't shoot, right? So that's the same reason for using the word genocide in all other situations. It's not about genes and DNA. There's a mixed up DNA in Israel completely. And you really can't discern those different tribes now, especially now, right? So that's one thing. It could be called genocide for that reason. I'd rather call it mass murder, right? Because that's what it is, just mass murder. What's wrong with that term? Because the term genocide has too many connotations. It goes back to this word for gene, right? So it has to do with your genes, your DNA, and your tribe, family. That's a secondary interpretation of the word. So you can go up to a third, fourth, fifth interpretation of the word, whatever you want. You shouldn't be told to not use it. I do think it's a bit daft to use that word in the first place because it's mass murder. But you could apply it because of the situation I just gave, this thought experiment. Who's most likely to be killed, the Gazan or the Israeli, standing in front of the IDF listening to their commanders? Who's this guy? What's he doing? Is he Israeli? Oh, wait, he's an Israeli? Oh, wait, forget it. Right? Bunch of Israelis or whatever, right? So it's not a very likely situation, I know that, but it's a thought experiment. That's what would happen. So they're targeting Arabs. I'll just use that general term, Arabs, right? That's what they're doing. There's no way. There's no logical way out of that I know of. Let me know if there is. But the other thing is that's really funny. There's nothing funny about this. Like I say, it's just if you don't laugh, you'll cry, right? Which I've done plenty of when I watch those people being killed. Yeah, I'm a red-blooded heterosexual man, and I do cry when things like that, those children being massacred, things like that, right? So that's what a man is, but it doesn't mean we're weak. So the thing here, the other funny thing is, sort of funny, it's funny, is that the word gene and gender and genocide. Okay, so you can't use the word genocide except in some weird situation, which I don't know which is, the Rwandan genocide, when it wasn't genes. It wasn't the genes of the person, the DNA. It was just they happened to belong to that tribe, which we've been intermingling with for thousands of years. So it was just destruction or attempted destruction, apparently, of a type of people who they didn't like. So it'd be like in Britain, there's the Labour Party, there's Conservative Party. So let's say one of those parties decides to kill off all the Labour Party. It's more like that. And there's many types of people in those parties. It's more like that, right? So it's a sort of tribalism for sure. Tribalism. So maybe you should call it genocide, right? Like I said, I'd rather call it mass murder. But when you get to this whole concept of trying to redefine words, so you can't redefine the word genocide anymore. You used to be able to in the 1990s and other times. But you can't do that anymore, apparently. You have to go to the word gene and DNA ultimately, or tribe at the very least, right? So in that case, I was wondering why we're redefining the word gender, because that's always meant male and female in biology, right? It just has. You can say what you want, but that's what it meant. So we're redefining the word gender to mean anything, absolutely anything you want, right? A technical term, right? We didn't go around in where I grew up in Scotland or anywhere else. Nobody went around going, even if they're just talking about male and female, there's a gender person, female gender person, there's a male gender person. Okay, you didn't use that word. You hardly ever used it. It's a biological. It was used in biology most of the time. Biological references. Yeah, so you're going to redefine the word gender for your own purposes. Now you can get into debates about what someone wants to be in life. They can wear whatever clothes they want, for all I care. There's lots of caveats as to why this whole issue these days is gone over the top, and a lot of lines that should not be crossed, in my opinion, right? So I'll talk about that in another video. But the point here is, why are you redefining the word gender to say that it can mean anything, including space alien, non-gender space alien if you want, pot plant, a plant, a tree, whatever you want, right? So you're redefining the word gender to mean whatever you want, but you're not allowed to use the word genocide somewhat generally, right? Because I bet you look up the word gen and genocide, and generally they probably have some kind of maybe some equivalence there. But generally, the population generally, which is what the word gene and family and tribe means, generally the population. Isn't that a coincidence? So, but generally, you're using the word genocide in a general sense, right? And by the thought experiment that I talked about, where who's most likely to get killed in Gaza, by deliberately, because of who they are, is it a Gazan, an Arab, or a Jew, or an Israeli? You tell me. I think it's obvious. So that's choosing a group to kill them. When you say the Israeli soldier's lined up, he's got listening to orders in his ears, right? What do I do here? Or the bomber, or whatever it is. Drone, or whatever it is. So what do I do here? They're right there. What shall I do? Wait, okay, yeah, they're Israelis. Pull back. Okay, that's that. Other situation, yeah, they're Gazans. They might even be Hamas. Just killed. Boom, 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 dead. So that's genocide, because you're choosing. Oh wait, that person's got Arabic dress on. Yeah, okay, it's Arabic dress. Definitely not Jewish, right? Not Jewish in disguise or nothing, right? Okay, boom, 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 boom. Right. So that's the literal definition of genocide, what I just described. That is it. Except I would just call it mass murder. However, you can definitely use the word genocide in this, legitimately use this in this situation. Whoever it offends, you can use it logically. Logically, it can be used for that reason that I just described. It's picking off a tribal group, a group, specifically, with specific intent to take that group and not the other, right? Same goes for in the West Bank. It's specific to that group of people, that group, the Arabs. Any Arab walking around Gaza in full Arabic dress is a target. But a Jewish person, fully dressed Jewish, and they know he's Jewish, is not a target, right? So won't be killed, much less likely, right? Deliberately. So that's proof that it's a genocide. That's actual proof that it is an actual genocide. So don't go around saying, oh, you can't call it genocide. You definitely can. But then I'd just call it mass murder, because to me, that's what it is. The age of wars, aeons ago, like just a couple of 100 years ago, not even, right? In Napoleonic wars, the public were not that much involved, civilians. And now we're in this age where we just think it's okay to kill masses of civilians in order to get the bad guy. Okay, well, there's other ways to do things, which I can't go into this video. But if that's your methodology, you're working off an not ancient, but just the last couple of 100 years of modern man, working off an archaic view of how to achieve things, accomplish things. So The UN and the others are correct. This is a genocide, and I just call it mass murder. It's mass murder of a people, right? And if that's not genocide, I don't know what is. You can redefine your words all the way you want, but if you're going to say you can't redefine the word genocide and it means genes or DNA or the tribe and the specific group who all wear those caps, if that's what you mean, then you definitely can't redefine the word gender. So that's interesting. Let's have those people grapple with that. Those two different ideas. You can redefine genocide. This is people like, especially in the news media, all these mainstream news media. You can't redefine genocide. It's about genes. It's about tribe. But you can redefine gender. Let's have those people grapple with that dichotomy and problem, intellectual problem right there. So it's sort of important. The reason I'm making this is sort of important because it's just complaining about the word genocide, which again I don't think you should really use. It's mass murder, but complaining about it is just a way to take air out of the real problem, which is this mass murder that's going on. So don't use the word genocide. Use the word mass murder, but if you are going to try to cancel a general usage of the word genocide, then please cancel the absolutely unbridled general usage of the word gender. Yeah, I know I mixed up two different topics there, but it is important. Words, way people use them, that's fine. You use them in different ways. But if you're going to start cancelling a word from being used, like I say, this video might get deleted from YouTube by YouTube because I'm talking about this. I think that's maybe happening now. I'm not sure, but it certainly happened with other videos on other topics. So trying to cancel one way of using a word as opposed to another, when it's all about taking the conversation away. So if anyone ever confronts you, you can't use the word genocide, why are you using that? It's offensive. Then just say, well, you're just trying to take away from the actual discussion of the issues here. And so go back to calling it mass murder. Watch my other videos about Israel as well that maybe I'll make shorter versions, but watch those to what I think the solution is. It can't happen now. It's a quagmire. You're not coming out of that. Israel has possibly become a failed state because of what they've done here. Complete ignorance. Netanyahu is an ape man walking around with no brain. He happens to be, he's a gangster boss. That's all he is. He's been had up for corruption. He got away with it. He's one of the richest politicians in the Middle East. So that's just one person though. There's many of them, but he's definitely a good example of the gorillas, ape men, walking around, blundering around in this modern world that should not be here anymore. So Israel has cancelled itself on the world stage. It did it to itself. So if the prophecy's correct, Israel has literally done it themselves. So they're not going to be a rapture for all you Christians. Israel just shot themselves in the foot and is crawling around like an injured international pariah, right? I don't see how they come out of that. There's no opposition group or new group of Israelis that can rise up now and be taken seriously or trusted. There's just nothing there. And even if there is, and they're honest and they mean what they say, they'll never be trusted again by the world. How does Israel survive this as a recognized entity? Change the name, I've said all along, change the name to a name that everyone agrees to, which I suggest in those videos I've suggested the name it should be. And that's what you have to do. It's never going to happen, but that's the only way out of this. Otherwise, it's just a quagmire. There's no way out. There's no way out. This has to play out. There's nothing. But there are other ways to solve all these problems. But this has gone so far, at least on any kind of a level of analysis, there's no way this goes to a good place. for Israel, Gaza, Palestine, or all the countries around there, or America, which is spending all this money on it, and it's embroiled itself in this situation. How's it going to get out of that? So it's just going to be a quagmire, not one you can get out of this time. This time you cannot get out of it. Now, I predicted Iraq would be a quagmire, the Iraq War, way back, 2000 and whenever it was, 2002, 2003. I'm like, it's just going to be a quagmire. And it was. For decades, we're still dealing with it because the ramifications of that have spread to other places, such as Syria. And even Iraq doesn't seem that stable to me. And the situation with the border on Iran and all that. But certainly this situation is a quagmire far worse. I don't see, you're not coming out of that unless, I don't know, it would be very strange if Israel is accepted on the world stage at all, ever again, with that name. Change the name to peace country in the old Semitic languages, because they're all Semitic, don't forget, Abrahamic, let's just call it, Abrahamic languages. They all think that they came from Abraham. So if you all came from Abraham, use whatever language he would have been using at the time, whatever that was, if he existed, and change it in that language to peace country. That's a name that you all purport to come from Abraham, as far as I know. The Christians, the Jews, the Muslims, as far as I know, right? So just change it to peace country in the ancient languages that are common in your ancient past. Get past this tribal stuff, So that's it. But you can't have complaining about words like genocide and then changing the meaning of gender at the same time. And if someone in Gaza is walking around who's known to be Israeli, Jewish, they're much more likely to survive the deliberate killing by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, than someone who's Arabic or Muslim or Gazan or any of it, right? So it is a genocide. It's a deliberate genocide, as I explained, the deliberate targeting of, in this thought experiment, it would be a deliberate targeting of the Muslims, but not any Jews walking around, if you know for sure that it's a Jew or it's Israeli. So that's a genocide, no question about it. Otherwise, just drop the whole word genocide for everything. Don't use it ever again, anywhere, anybody, news media, all of you politicians, news media, just call it mass murder, okay? So that's my suggestion.